thing we hear very often. Our product data is an absolute mess. Where do we go from here? And we hear this often when people are thinking about putting in a product information management or a PIM system. So there are lots of steps you can take. The first one is, of course, to start cleaning up that product data. It doesn't matter what system you put it in. If it's bad data in one system, it'll be bad data in another system. So the first thing I would do is start to create governance policies where you're either archiving data, it has some type of life cycle. You make sure that basically there's one source of truth. The next is to have accountability in terms of roles. So there's someone who's actually looking at the data. There's someone who's actually coming up with the governance rules. You have an executive sponsor who says, yes, let's spend the money to go towards PIM. And then I think there's lots of mistakes that people make when it comes to data. And Mary, I know you know several of those mistakes.
Yeah, thanks, Mas. Data can be hard, right? And it can be a little daunting or challenging. So I think the first thing that is a huge mistake that people often have is just the perception that everything needs to be perfect day one or overnight, right? This is a ongoing activity of continuing to look at what data you have coming in, what is the hygiene and accuracy of that, and how do you really measure that? But the idea that your data is always going to be perfect and that this is going to be a one and done type activity is just not correct. I think another thing that I see a lot of times as people are really focused on understanding and saying, I need to track everything. I need to know exactly all these different interactions that are happening. I want to know exactly when somebody scrolled to this part of the page and what they clicked on in this area of the site. When in reality, we don't want to track, quantity of just everything. We want to make sure we have a great foundation for data. But what we really need to focus on is making sure that we're engaging and tracking the meaningful points that align to our business goals and KPIs. So tracking something just for the sake of tracking it is not adding value or insight into your reporting and insights, or really looking at how you're going to actually act on that. The last piece, I just kind of hinted on this, is tracking data for the sake of tracking it, again, without translating that into action. So if you have great reports and great insights into your customer data and how they're engaging on your sites, your mobile platforms, what have you, but you're not actually using that to provide better or personalized experiences, that's a miss. So being comfortable with, point in time projects and not really building that muscle memory for a data-driven and personalized customer experience is often where we see people fall off.